How's it going, everyone? I hope you guys are having a fantastic night so far, but I'm here to bring you guys my review for the English dub for Dragon Ball Super episode 35. Now, all I can say about this episode is that if you are a Vegeta fan, you are going to be very, very happy with this episode because I really enjoyed the beginning moments with Vegeta going up against Frost in this episode. It brought me back to the ending of the Resurrection of F arc with Vegeta, just pummeling Frieza within the last episode of that arc. And even though it wasn't as satisfying, with Vegeta just throwing everything he had into that fight at the end with Frieza, he only ends this matchup against Frost in one punch. But I'll talk a little bit more about that because there are other things I do want to cover in this episode. And what we have Goku getting reinstated into the tournament. We have massive hype right now being built up for Hit, which I absolutely love that part. And I'm really excited to talk about this new character from Universe 6. But then I also have a lot of thoughts right now on Mageta from Universe 6. Like, that part right there really confused me, but I'll get to that as I go through my review. But I want to go back to, Vegeta going up against Frost because there's one thing and there's one effect I really, really loved at the beginning parts of this episode, and it was the zooming eye effect that we had with Frost and Vegeta. You had this animation moment where you kind of saw Frost, displaying the poison barb on his hand with the poison leaking out, but you can see Vegeta in his eye and it zooms in, gets in closer and closer, and then it immediately switches over to Vegeta with Frost reflecting in his eye and zooms in and zooms in. I really do like that effect. It was very, very cool, but then we kind of move more into what's going to be happening with Vegeta going up against Frost. And here we come to learn that they're removing all of the restrictions for this one fight between Vegeta and Frost. They can use weapons, they can use poison barbs, and they can actually try to kill each other. They can actually deliver fatal blows in this matchup right now. So this is kind of like building up right now for Frost because Frost is very confident at this point. He's already taken out Goku and Piccolo and is kind of riding high on his own ego right now. He thinks he's indestructible. But what I love about this is that in one punch with Vegeta going Super Saiyan is just throws Frost out of the ring. He immediately punches him, gets him off guard, and just launches him to Champa's platform, ricochets off that, hits the top of the barrier, and then lands down on the ground. That was awesome. The animation was okay, but I just love that moment because it just brings me back to when Vegeta was just pummeling Frieza at the end of the Resurrection of F arc, and all his hate and animosity towards Frieza race definitely went towards Frost in this episode, and I absolutely loved that. So with that match done and over with, we kind of have a little bit of a standby period before Vegeta ends up going up against Mageta near the ending of this episode, but the one section I absolutely loved and got good laughs out of was when Beerus was checking out Goku to see if he was also, poisoned by Frost to get him reinstated into the tournament. But then the whole banter back and forth when Goku was trying to talk to Monaka, saying hey, I should go out after Monaka. But Beerus is like, no, you're going out after Vegeta. You are not going after Monaka. I loved that moment, but what sold it for me is Whis' character. He is my favorite character, and the English dub does him so well, but the sass that Whis was delivering to Beerus, basically saying oh yes, your ultimate weapon right now. I am loving the dialogue and just the hilarious moments going on with Monaka right now with Beerus and Whis. And then Whis just pointing out that Monaka is unconscious just basically ever since Goku delivered his Kamehameha wave during his fight with Botamo, and he's not moving at all. He's just looking straight dead-eyed, and Beerus is just telling Goku, don't worry about it. Leave him be. I love those moments with Whis just constantly talking back to Beerus, basically saying oh yes, this plan right now is going swimmingly. I love those moments. It was just so funny. And I definitely want to wonder how you guys feel about these comedic moments within Dragon Ball Super, because we get a lot more of them than we ever kind of did, or at least how I feel within Dragon Ball Z. These is more Dragon Ball-esque type humor, like back when Goku was a kid. I really enjoyed it, but I just love the comedic jokes that come along with both Beerus and Whis' character. Those two being introduced into Dragon Ball Super is basically a godsend for this series. And even gets even funnier as well when Ciampa ends up adding this extra barrier to the platform, and then we have this hilarious moment of just Beerus and Ciampa bickering back and forth. They end up going into like this rock, paper, scissors duel where they just are going so fast that the eye can't see their rock, paper, scissors hand signs, and they end up, going to a tie. None of them are able to actually win because every single move is just identical. I just love those two so much. This character sibling dynamic is just so funny to watch. But while that all is going on, we see Frost, lingering very mischievously in the background. And what we come to learn is that he's trying to take the prize money from winning this tournament away with himself, trying to just leave and get out of there. But this is where they start to build up Hit for Universe 6. This was a fantastic moment where you see Hit just slowly walking up to Frost, and Frost is actually terrified, and he's like looking at Hit saying like the legendary assassin from Universe 6, and then we just see like this glass shattering effect to where after that, Frost has these beams of light coming off of his body, and he immediately says this after that happens, saying, "What did you do to me? You didn't even move." That right there is how you perfectly hype up a character within Dragon Ball. I loved that moment. So right now, Hit is a character to definitely look out for. If you guys have not been keeping up with the sub, definitely look out for this character once he ends up entering the tournament, because it is going to be so enjoyable to watch. But then we move on to the last section of this episode, and this is where I'm very, very confused on what was going on within this episode, because we have Vegeta going up against the new character Mageta, the robot organism from Universe 6. And right off the bat, I just have to say, I have no idea what Mageta was saying throughout this entire episode. He sounded like part train, where he's saying choo-choo, tambourine, all of this random nonsense, and I'm like sitting there listening to this, I'm like, I need subtitles in order to hear what Mageta is even talking about right now. Like, I don't even know if in the sub he has actual dialogue, if he's actually saying complete sentences, because Mageta in the English dub right now is speaking complete gibberish, or at least robot language. It's probably a language like only dedicated to his race of robot organisms, but I was just so confused watching it, like, Mageta, I don't know what you're saying right now, so I'm a little bit confused on that part, but other than that, he is still a very interesting character, because it turns out, as the Supreme Kais are talking, there is a race similar to Mageta's in Universe 7, obviously, of course, because both of our universes end up mirroring each other, but we've just never seen Mageta's race within Universe 7. But as we're kind of moving through the Vegeta going up against Mageta, we come to learn a little bit more about his race, that they kind of have lava saliva that they're able to spew out of their body, which is actually very unique and something we have never really seen in the world of Dragon Ball. We've never seen a robot organism. We've seen androids, but we've never seen this type of robot organism before, which is actually very cool to see. But as we tend to see with Mageta, by the ending of this episode, Mageta is actually at a great advantage with this new barrier being placed within the tournament, because with this new cage match basically set up for the tournament and Mageta's ability to be able to heat up the atmosphere, it's making the atmosphere within this little cage right now with Vegeta in there very, very hot. You can see Vegeta sweating by the end, and it makes you wonder, how is Vegeta going to end up winning this match? Will he end up winning it at all? So as we can kind of tell right now, Mageta is at a great advantage right now with this new cage set in place above the tournament right now. But we know Vegeta, we know that he is very resourceful and he will not give up without a fight, so it's going to be very interesting with next episode to see if Vegeta ends up coming out on top against Mageta. But I really enjoyed this episode. There was actually a lot that went down in this episode, but I just gotta say, I loved what they did with Hit in this episode, finally introducing his character and hyping him up beyond belief with the fact that he didn't even move a muscle and was able to take out Frost like that. Absolutely amazing. So I definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts about this episode. So leave your thoughts and comments down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode, and give me thoughts on Mageta's language if you have anything to share with me, because I am very curious about what the English dub did for his character and voice actor. It was just very confusing, but I got a good laugh out of it because I was just like, I have no idea what he's saying. So that's going to be it for my review for this week's episode 35 of Dragon Ball Super. So until episode 36 comes out next week, I'll talk with you guys later. See you later, guys.